There's loads of content out there if you want to learn about coding, marketing, or finance. But when it comes to fire and security, clear, practical knowledge is almost impossible to find. Hi, I'm Daryl, and that's why I created the Fire and Security Guide, to break it all down step by step. We'll start with system categories, the foundation of fire alarm design, and later we'll cover things like which devices to use and when. This is the resource I wish I had. Clear, simple, and to the point. Let's get into it. Fire alarm systems in the UK are designed to protect both life and property, but not every building needs the same type of system. The British Standards BS 5839 Part 1 sets out clear categories, so systems match the risks and needs of each building. In this video, we'll break down those categories, explain what changed in 2025, and sketch out how they work in practice. Let's start with the simplest system, Category M. This is manual only. Just call points and sounders, no automatic detectors. These are typically used where people are awake, familiar with the building, and can quickly raise the alarm themselves. So if we take our drawing here, I'm going to do a little square for manual call points, and then a triangle for sounders. So manual call points are required at the fresh air exits to the building. I'm not going to go into all the detail of that today. We'll cover that in another video. But just for the purposes of this, we're going to put manual call points at every fresh air exit. Oh, sorry, no, that's not one. And then we'll have one here and there. And then there's one there. So then sounders, generally as a rule of thumb, I put one next to each manual call point. I do this because when you're wiring, it's just simpler. But these are normally determined by the dB levels, which again we'll cover in another video. I'm going to add a couple more because the building probably looks like it needs a few more. And then maybe I'll add one more here, just for good measure. So next is Category L systems, which is life protection. Automatic systems for life protection are split into 5 levels, starting at L5 and building up to L1. With the exclusion of L5, each level includes everything from the one below, with more coverage added at each level. L5 is the most localized system. It provides detection only where there's a special risk, like a plant room or a server room. So again, if we look at our drawing, I'm going to put a smoke detector as a little circle. Call that smoke. And then let's say, I think here, this room is a little server room. So we will put a little detector in the server room there. Next is L4. This is the base layer of automatic detection. It provides detection in escape routes, corridors, and stairways, so people get early warning as they evacuate. From 2025, L4 also requires detection at the top of lift shafts. So just so that we can be a little bit clearer, I'm going to use a blue pen. So for L4 systems. This whole area here, because it joins onto it's part of the escape route. So if I want to escape from here, I have to go out there, or maybe I'll run around this way and come down there, or around there. So we would have to put detection in this whole area. So this is part of the escape route. So I'll put one there. And then I'm not going to measure it all out, but roughly speaking, we'd put a detector there, maybe one there and there, and there and there. And then this will probably have one here because that's all open, and then another one over there because that's all part of the escape route. Then going through here, this is all part of the escape route, so we'll have one here and maybe down there. Again, this is also part of the escape route, so down there. This is a separated area, so we'll have to have one in there and again in there. Coming this way, we need to have a detector in here. Maybe we'll have 2 along that passage. And then coming through here, we'll have one in here. And this being the reception, we will have one in the middle there. And that would be L4. So we're going to call L4 blue. L3 builds on L4. You still have detectors in escape routes, but now also in any rooms that open directly onto them. And under the 2025 update, if any of those rooms are used for sleeping, they must be fitted with smoke detectors. Heat detectors are no longer allowed. So if we look at this drawing, the adjoining rooms we would say are this room. I'm using green for this now. We're going to put one in here, in this room. This room is now not adjoining the corridor or the escape route. So we won't put one there. This room is, and then this is part of the corridor. Again, this, we'll put one here. This is a kitchen, so we're going to put a heat detector in there. So that we're going to call a heat. Here we've got a meeting room, so we'll put one in there. That's a washroom, so we don't worry about that. That's same, we don't worry about that. This is a cleaner's cupboard, so we'll put one in there. In this meeting room, we will put one here and one there, just because of the sizing. The little call pods, because they're enclosed area, we're going to put one in each of those, and then one in that meeting room there. This is a washroom here, so we won't put one in there, but this little area here is an enclosed space. You can see the door there and there, so we're going to put one in there. And then same with this one here, and that one there. And then we're going to say L3 is in green. L2 systems build on L3. You keep all that coverage and then add detection in defined high-risk areas, including all sleeping rooms. The 2025 update makes this explicit. Sleeping areas are always classed as high risk, and only smoke detectors can be used. So when we take this drawing, the only one that's really considered a high risk would be this server room. We wouldn't really have any other detection. So then moving on to L1. L1 is the highest level of coverage. It builds on everything below and extends detection throughout the entire building. Every room, every area, everywhere. This is typical in care homes, hotels, hospitals, and high occupancy residential buildings. If we actually look at this drawing, there isn't much detection that hasn't been covered. I think the only one that is missing is this one room here. And this is often the case when you go from an L3 to an L1 system. It's normally only those rooms that aren't right onto the fire escape route. So we will go L1 as black. Category P systems are aimed at protecting property and business continuity. They're not concerned necessarily with life protection. So a P2 is a lighter version, providing detection only in defined high risk or high value areas. So if we were taking this drawing, we'd really only want to put one in the server room here. P1 is full property coverage, detectors throughout the building, protecting all areas. There are other criteria for the differences between L1 and P1, which we'll discuss in another video. In this drawing, it would be all of the areas like we've got in this drawing already. So to recap on the changes from 2025, let's do that over here. So the first thing is detection is required in sleeping areas in an L3 system if they open directly onto escape routes. Next, in an L2, all sleeping areas are defined as high risk. Next point is in an L4 system, we have to put a detector in a lift shaft. And then finally, as we said before, we have to use smoke detectors in sleeping rooms. Heats are no longer allowed. Remember, this video is for informational purposes only. Always check the latest BS 5839 standard and carry out proper fire risk assessments to ensure your system meets legal and site-specific requirements. You'll find references included so you can explore the details further. Thank you.